and welcome to FPL Onside with me, Darren. Have realised the scrolling text along the bottom says quarter-final results. Fucked it already. Do I care? No. Not restarted a video just for that. But how is everybody? I hope you are well. It is a Sunday evening here, and I thought I'd stick a Club World Cup pod in, ready for you guys in the morning. You've got one day as of tomorrow. I think the deadline is on Tuesday evening, so let's get into it. It was not the greatest week for me, unfortunately, this week. A lot of what I said did come true, and we'll focus on that in a bit later. But unfortunately, that just meant kind of 0 points for my team in reality. So only got 58 points this week. That's quite poor. Takes me up to a total of 405 points, and position is 2,726. So I actually believe that is a tiny green arrow, if I'm honest. But at one stage, I was really near the top 1K at the start of this game week. So I'm kind of annoyed about that. Star man, I put Trent as my star man. He was very, very good. He scored the most amount of points for me along with Hakimi. I've had Hakimi before, so I'm sticking with Trent as the star man this week. I thought he played very well. Hakimi plays well every time, doesn't he? Really. My letdown was Harry Kane, obviously, the man who likes to be offside quite a lot. He didn't do much, did he? They were pretty bleak. Were Bayern against PSG? Kind of thought they would be. But yeah, they pushed a little, but nothing really. Elise and Kane, nothing. I knew I was probably going to lose those guys. And the surprise was Pacho. Obviously, PSG did keep a clean sheet, but he got a red card. Bit of a surprise. Didn't expect him to be so silly, considering that PSG were in control in reality. Obviously, they weren't. That was the only person who got sent off for PSG at the end. There was it. So that was again silly. Don't get sent off. What's the point? You're going to miss the next game. So actually, we didn't lose too many people, which we'll focus on in a minute. But overall, this week, it could have gone better. And there was a point where I thought Fabio was going to get a clean sheet as well, but that didn't materialise either. Marcus Leonardo was my captain at one point. He didn't do enough, just one goal. So I gambled on Doué. He scored, and I was like, okay. But I thought Vinicius Jr. would do damage against Dortmund. So I changed him to captain, and he didn't. And he did do damage. He had the chances. If he could learn to chip a ball over a keeper, we'd be laughing. A poor game by his standards. He had the chances. He just didn't finish them. So I thought Vinicius Jr. was a very good shout this week. And in reality, his play, he got in the right places. He just couldn't finish his dinner. If on another day, I could have been looking at a Hattie from him in reality as captain, which would have been lovely. Wasn't to be. We move on. We move on swiftly because this was my differential performance going into this week. Absolutely everybody failed to return. Arias of Fluminense, Malcolm of Al Hilal, Fuchs of Palmeiras, Badiashile for Chelsea didn't even play. Neves for PSG did nothing. Upamecano for Bayern thought he scored, but he was offside. In fact, 20 of them were offside. Hussein for Madrid, he got sent off. And then Pascal Gross of Dortmund, he did nothing. So an absolute dumpster fire there of a differential performance. It got a lot harder. I was doing very well in the groups. It got a lot harder when it came to sort of the round of 16 and stuff like that to pick out the right differential. So we've done it a little bit different because only 4 teams left now. So we have done it a little bit different going forward this week. But that is an absolutely abysmal performance when it comes to differentials. But at the end of the day, they are differentials. You know, they're low-owned people that potentially could play and do something. And that's why I was kind of highlighting them. They're not yet your standout stars. But yeah, that's crap. So semi-final fixtures and players. So as we go into the semi-final, we're looking at a game on Tuesday night for Fluminense against Chelsea. That kicks off at 8. And then on Wednesday, we've got the big one, PSG versus Real Madrid. Personally, I think Chelsea are going to win, and I think Paris Saint-Germain are going to win. Very, very simple. That said, I could be completely wrong. Fluminense have been very good. Chelsea have been up and down. Real Madrid can be good at any time, and I think they'll have Mbappe back from the start. I think he will start that game as well. Scored a great goal yesterday. So, yeah, but Paris Saint-Germain have been so good. It's hard to see past them. But so what I've done today is I picked 3 players from each team that if I had, needed to pick players from them, which obviously you do, but if you had spaces in terms of extra players from these teams, these are the 3 players I would kind of go for right now. If I wanted to be not only match what people were probably doing, but also just be a little bit different, because you'll see high ownership here for some of them, but that's not as high as it could definitely be. And that does mean you are catching a little bit. So for Fluminense, I've gone for Arias. He's apart from Fluminense, who barely have any players picked. So Arias in midfield, 6.2 million, 9.1% ownership. Hercules, who came on, and I think he scored actually, but he's been starting most games. He's 5.4 million, so a lot cheaper than Arias. He's 2.6% owned. Very, very good shout. If you think Fluminense are going to beat Chelsea, I think he's a lovely shout. And then up front, we've got Cano, who's 5.9 million, and he's 6% owned at the minute. So if you think the actual forwards he's the highest scoring forward for Fluminense actually. It's the midfielders who seem to be getting the points there with Arias and Hercules. So I think if you think Chelsea have been a bit flat, Fluminense could do it. I wouldn't put anyone off going for some of those players at very low ownership. If they do turn up, you're going to catch a lot of ground on people. For Chelsea, the 3 I've gone for are Pedro Neto. Been banging on about him the whole bloody time. He's been doing very well. 6.5 million, 27.7% ownership, which still isn't that great. Palmer, he's 9.6 million, but he's 27.1% ownership. And I think he scored as well. So, I personally think they will beat Fluminense. I think Palmer would be a good shout. And then defender Cucurella, I didn't play last game. I think he'll start this game. He's 26.7%. I think it's worth having a defender. I noticed I didn't put a defender in for Fluminense, and that's because I just think they will concede. I think Chelsea will beat them. So for PSG, if you don't already own Achraf Hakimi, I don't know what you're doing. 67.1% ownership at 6.5 million. He's a phenomenal footballer. I played this Gaffer Super League, and he's definitely in the team next season. No things about it. He's going to be the most expensive defender in that game, I imagine. Probably along with Trent. Desiree Doué, 6.2 million, 26.5%, which again is quite low ownership, but he is playing through the middle for PSG, and I can't see anybody coming in and taking his place. You could make a claim for Dembele, maybe, but he's literally just come back from injury, and he came on at the very end yesterday. I think he scored as well, didn't he? But for me, Doué is a good shout. I think they'll move him round if Dembele comes back. Barcola, I thought, had a pretty poor game yesterday. He missed a 1-on-1 as well, so maybe they drop him. There was transfer rumours about him. And then obviously Kvaratskhelia, 9.2 million, 41.1%. I say his name different every fucking time I say it, I swear. I might just call him Kavar from now on. I even looked up a YouTube video a long time ago on how to say it. I'm still none the wiser. But he's a brilliant footballer as well, and he's done sensational the whole tournament. I think he's very lively. So yeah, they're the 3 I'd own from PSG. Real Madrid, I've gone for Trent. I think he had a great game yesterday. I think he's starting to show up his best for Real Madrid. I think again next season he will be very, very good for Real Madrid. He's 6.4 million, 40.2% ownership, which does actually seem quite high for Trent because he hasn't done much, I don't think, until now for Real Madrid. I think he had one game where he was a bit poor. So I'm surprised that's that high. The other one is Jude Bellingham. He's only 25.8% ownership, which I think is low. 9.3 million, that might be why his price is expensive. But if you thought Real Madrid were going to beat PSG and you wanted to, let's say you want to put a lot of people in PSG and just, into Real Madrid and just pray they beat PSG because you'll have one up on the people who have piled into PSG, I don't hate that tactic. And I think Bellingham is a good shout. He was very unlucky yesterday not to score 1 or 2, actually. Really, really lively. And then a man who has missed most of the games, so I don't know why he's 38.6% ownership still. If it was just for, if everyone punted for him on this on the quarterfinals, I can understand it. He did come on and score, so you justified your 11 million, sort of. But yeah, Mbappe, I think he'll start the next game. I said that last week. And I did say I wanted to go Vinicius Jr. over him because I didn't think he'd start. And I was correct, he didn't. But I do think he starts this one. So he is one player that I'll have my eye on because I still have the 12th man chip. So I don't know when I'm going to play that and what I'm going to play it on. I haven't decided about this week yet. So that's the semi-final fixtures and players, and we jump into my potential transfers here. Very short pod today because there's not that many teams to talk about. So what I've done here is on the left-hand side, you'll see the team I'm potentially going with this week. You'll notice that I haven't bothered changing Kobel of Dortmund. He can stay. I've just got Fabio in goal. I don't think I'll get anything out of that at all. That's fine. I've also left Svensson in. Again, I'll just bench him. And I've left Pacho. And the reason I've left Pacho with a red card there is because he'll only be suspended for, I believe, for the one game, potentially. I can't remember. I'd have to check that out. But otherwise, they are low price. The people I've kind of transferred out were positions I wanted to refill and also the most expensive players because I want to put the most money into it. So Pencho and Svensson can just be benched this week. That's absolutely fine. I can still put 11 with one sub. And I've not cost myself any money, any points either. I've not taken a hit in this game where I see a lot of people taking one or two hits. I haven't wanted to. I'm against that for next season a lot in FPL as well. On the right-hand side, I've put what I said last week would happen. The best, worst outcome and what I thought would happen. So the best outcome was I'd lose 5 players. Well, I lost 6, I believe. So it's not terrible. Worst outcome was I lose 8 players. Yeah, it didn't happen. That's fine. So the best outcome was lose 5 players. Only lost 6. I'm okay with that. That was roughly expected. I said Real Madrid would beat Dortmund. So you could bring in the players, but be careful of Mbappe. I was rightly so. He didn't start. He came on at the very end. He did score, but still you have to be careful of him. I thought if you bought him as a transfer and realised he didn't start, you'd have been disappointed in reality. So Real Madrid did beat Dortmund. It wasn't a drumming. Obviously, Dortmund came back at the end there, but there we go. Chelsea beat Palmeiras, but not easy. Correct. It was 2-1. Jackson is back. He didn't play, or if he came on, I think, potentially. But Delap did play and got a red card. So actually now, or yellow, so he's now suspended anyway for this next week. So Jackson is back now. So I think if you fancy it, like I have, and I'll tell you in a minute, Delap out, Jackson back in for a Chelsea strike force. Al Hilal to beat Fluminense, a potential low scorer. I got it wrong. Obviously, there was a tragic event within football last week. And I see fitting to do some type of tribute at some point, but I'm an absolute nobody. I'm just some content creator. Why would I put out a statement as per? But it was a tragic event. And I do feel sorry for Al Hilal because I had to watch Ruben Neves and João Cancelo, two of Jota's very good friends and past teammates, potentially, obviously at Portugal, in bits. And I did think it was very harsh to watch them play in that game with their mental state at the start of that, then to go and play a match and they lost. And I'll be fair, should Al Hilal lost that match? I don't know. I think they had 1 or 2 penalty shouts, genuinely. It felt a very odd feeling and an odd game for me. I didn't particularly like it. So I was wrong on that. Al Hilal didn't beat them, but I felt a bit odd with that. But it was a low scorer. Only thing I didn't get right this week. And then PSG to beat Bayern. Again, a small score. Bring no one in from these two. It was a small score, wasn't it? And you could have bought people in, but who would you have bought in? It wasn't a smash in. It wasn't an Auckland. So again, I feel what I said last week is kind of justified. So this week, the players I'm looking at bringing in, quite simply put, are Nuno Mendes, Colton Palmer. Imagine saying that. Cole Palmer. Colton Palmer is a footballer, for those of young ones who don't know. He did an advert once upon a time where you were in the bath with Colton Palmer. Look it up. Cole Palmer. João Neves of PSG. I think he's had a great tournament so far. I want somebody else from PSG because I think they'll go all the way. I'm bringing in Jackson because Delap's out. I think Jackson will come in and start up front. Christopher Nkunku could, but I think it'll be Jackson back in because he's not injured at all. He was just suspended. And then I've brought in Carno as well, as I mentioned previously. Maybe Fluminense when I have one player from them up top. I've got Carno, but he was a bit of a cheaper option, so that's why I've gone with that. That's the kind of moves I'm looking at. I haven't clicked the button yet, just sort of mapped them out here, took the screenshot, etc., etc. But that, everybody, is that really short and sweet pod today. Wanted to get it out so you have something to think about as we go into the semi-final. Tournament's nearly over. Hopefully we get FPL price reveals this week as well. If you haven't checked out any of my previous videos, please do. I've got a Gaffer one at the moment, which is doing extremely well for fixtures and players if you're looking at playing the championship game. And I'll be back again very, very soon with another podcast, I am sure. Take care. Love to all. Thank you.